So how do you like how Tiger's doing this week, Rick?
He's making some noise. I'll tell you that. I hope that he can keep it rolling for the next few days because.
And he's making some birdies.
I know. Did you see the putt that he hit? He was like mad. And he starts walking, and then it goes in. Like that's how good you must be to hit a putt.
He thought he missed it. That's why he was walking. He was angry.
So before we get started today, I got to give a shout out to the guys at Swing Juice, and they were on a Friday Foursome a few weeks ago, and before, even and after, we were talking about. And Jason, you had a good idea, and it might be coming. You had the Caddy Daddies idea.
I know. I'm kind of excited. It was there.
Not a terrible idea, but Matt Rust likes to say instead of saying make more birdies, he likes to say make less bogeys. Well, as of today, you can go on to swingjuice.com and get a shirt that says "Make Less Bogeys," and I am just.
So does that make Matt famous now?
I mean, kinda. I mean, a little bit. And Matt, it was funny. I texted him last night, like 10 o'clock, and I was showing him, and it pretty much made my day. So, to the guys at Swing Juice, I know you guys are watching, and we've been tweeting about it since. And they posted it on Instagram, and there was a certain someone that made a comment about it should be make fewer bogeys, and that make less bogeys is not correct, and yada yada yada. Well, guess what? I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna make less bogeys. So
are we sending one of those shirts to Tiger?
I don't want to talk to you right now. I'll mute you before we even get started. And the guest is laughing too. Let's stop that. Let's get to the guest here in a second. But Jason, you didn't make a nasty comment because you're trying to get Swing Juice to make a shirt that says Caddy Daddy. So Jason from Shop Junior Golf is with us. We've got Les Bailey from, where are you from these days?
Back Nine Media.
That wasn't what I was going to say. I was going to say like Front Nine Sports or something. I don't know. Back Nine Media.
Back Nine Media.
When are we going to get Back Nine Media on a Friday Foursome?
I gave you his contact information.
Well, they're not scheduled, so maybe they are actually. Who's your point of contact there?
Yeah.
Hashtag you're with it.
John Stallings.
You're right. That's not who I thought it was, but I don't know. I'd have to look at the schedule. We're booked, Jason. We are booked into the second week of February.
I know, that's very cool.
I know, exciting. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about today's guest. Now, today's guest. Well, I could spend the entire half an hour talking about today's guest and how one, genuinely nice this guy is, and two, how exciting I was when he came out to Scottsdale and played in hashtag the Evan 15. And we are going to talk about hashtag the Evan 15 a little bit today, but it's just one question of your laundry list of stuff that we got because you do more than just play golf. You've got a lot of stuff going on, so I'm going to give him a couple of minutes to introduce himself, and I am just pumped to welcome Doc Griffin to the Friday Foursome. Doc, how the heck are you, buddy?
I'm doing well, thank you. Before we get going on all that, I have a great T-shirt idea, great in my opinion. In fact, I did this shirt a few years ago. It's a caricature of a caddy, if you will, and underneath it says, "Who's your caddy?"
That's awesome. That'd be even funnier for a caddy that lives in Indiana and spell it "Who's your caddy?" We're building a full line of clothing right here.
Just tell Swing to tune in every week. We'll give them an idea a week.
New idea every week.
Yeah, well, this was back when that saying "Who's your daddy?" was big. That's it's kind of past its way now. But anyway, as Rick said, I'm Doc Griffin. I am an international top 100 master fitter and teaching professional. I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. Our specialty is basically out-of-the-box fitting, and when I say that, without stepping on toes, let's just say we fit for more than the big four, which is lie, length, flex, and grip. We have a 21-point fitting system that we go by using a launch monitor. And it takes us roughly an hour and a half to 2 hours to do a complete fitting. And no, that's not because we're slow. It's because we're that thorough. And we've worked with ranked beginners to tour players to better amateurs. In fact, one of my clients, I guess we'll call them clients because they're not customers, they're really clients, patients, if you will. Let's call them patients.
Patients.
The doctor's patients.
The doctor.
Okay, one of my patients, He's a rising sophomore at the University of South Carolina. I've been working with him since he was 12 years old, and he just won the South Carolina Golf Association amateur tournament with a record-tying score of 20 under.
Wow.
Previous record was set by, y'all might have heard this guy's name, Lucas Glover. Lucas shot 20 under some odd years ago, and now Keenan Husky has set or tied that record with him as well. So I'm looking for Keenan to do some great things the rest of his career, and I keep reminding him, just when you get out there, remember who got you there. He said, of course, it was Serge. I said, okay, well, remember who did your clubs.
So that's
you know who Serge is. Serge
Yeah.
teaches him as well, and I do his club. So it's been a cooperative effort.
there's got to be a
in that
percentage of
vernacular.
his winnings goes to you. I mean, he couldn't get there. Like, I get it, yeah.
Yeah,
I got
just,
your back.
You know, just send me a small check, but make it for a lot of money. But, mentioned Serge. Some of the folks that are watching, I'm sure, caught the Don Trahan, who we call the Serge Hangout, probably a year or two ago.
It's been a while.
I'm also the director of club fitting for the Swing Surge Golf Management organization. So Serge and I work very closely together. We travel once a month. We go out globally, and we do this on the road. So in a nutshell, that's basically what I do. It's not, of course, all of who I am, but it is what I do.
Very cool. Well, in that hangout with Serge, we didn't really get a lot of. Well, Jason, did you even get a talk during that hangout? I don't even remember.
I don't think so. That was
I'm sure. Who are you? And then 30 minutes later, all right, and we're done.
Serge, if Serge is listening, and I know his son-in-law is listening, and anybody else who knows Serge, a conversation with Serge involves your aspect is this.
Listen.
Exactly. Serge is never a loss for words. So I'm sure that was probably a very unique. All you had to do was introduce him and say, Don, you're on, and there it goes.
Yeah.
And that's about how it worked.
Yeah.
That was it.
Jason, I'm going to allow you to ask some questions today. We're going to make sure that we moderate this to the point that you get to ask a couple of
Well,
questions.
I'm kind of excited. So I have never had a club fitting before. So my first question is about your long distance fitting that you offer on your site. What exactly does the long distance fitting involve, and what are the risks involved in fitting that person that isn't necessarily in front of you?
Let's deal with the risk first. Because somebody else is gathering the data, there is a risk that they don't get it correctly. That's a small risk, because if you go someplace like Golf Galaxy, Dick's, some of the big box stores, if you will, that have a launch monitor, they can gather the data that I need to fit you. And the long distance fitting form is something like 11, 14 pages. You know, I don't sit and count and try to remember, but it's very extensive. So I'm gathering very individual item-specific information all the way down the line, just as if you were sitting right here or standing here hitting balls in the fitting studio and we were gathering it here.
Okay.
So then the difference is it's not the ability to gather the information. It's the ability to extrapolate the information and make an educated decision on what fits the individual. And the basic problem I have with, we'll just call it big box store fitting, is they're in the mindset that longer is longer and bigger is better. And most people are playing clubs that are, in essence, too long to fit them physically that they can actually swing and control. And they're playing shafts that are basically too stiff for them to give them the optimum performance, ball flight, and trajectory, and dispersion.
So it's funny
So
you
it's
say
all-
that, like doing like the going to big box stores. And when I was fit for my most recent set of irons, I went to two, got the same numbers, and actually Brett Packey was the one who fit me, and he's in Chicago. So I took the numbers that I got from those two stores, sent everything, and one store gave me just a few numbers, the other one gave me a page full of stuff, and he took those. Now I don't know what he did and how he fit me, but it was interesting to see that the numbers were different a little bit. Like, I mean, I'm hitting on the same monitors and so forth, but like to be able to get that variation of information. And the one thing I always had to hit KBS, or had to hit the Dynamic Gold S300s. Like, that was the shaft I hit. Like, that's just what you hit, Ricky. Well, I ended up going to a much less stiff shaft in the KBS shafts, and it changed. I mean, I hit the ball further. It feels better coming off the club face, and I'm not playing what every club on the rack has got shaft wise. So it's interesting.
KBS and Nippon are the only steel shafts that I use. They are that good.
I
won't mention names because it sometimes it bothers people if I were to mention a brand like True Temper. So I won't. I will not say True Temper, and certain companies like that have rested on their laurels for a long time. And if I were to take and try to build an iron set that consists of just 8 clubs, if I were to use, and again, not naming names like True Temper, but if I were to use certain shafts like that, I could literally go through 12, 13, 14 shafts trying to match up to build 8 clubs. With KBS, 8 shafts. They're that good.
Well, I'll make sure whenever I share this hangout, I'm going to mention not True Temper, but I'll mention KBS.
No, we won't. But, hey. I'm being a little bit lighthearted there.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of guys on tour that are playing that shaft and making a lot of money doing it.
Yeah.
So KBS, I think you can safely say, is the fastest growing shaft on tour, though. They're rapidly catching up.
Maybe that's a good sign. That's why I play KBS. Maybe tour is in my future. It's not.
I don't know, bud. You hit the ball pretty good. And I'm quite jealous. I remember the days. My memory, it's not long-term memory I have a problem, it's short-term.
Well, you didn't see me hit the ball that long ago, so maybe you're mistaken because, I don't know, that was just a couple months ago. Les, what shafts you got in your irons? I bet you play in the S300. You look like the kind of guy that could swing a stiff shaft on your irons.
I'm playing, good Lord.
Speaking of short-term memory loss.
My mind went blank on me, but they are graphite shafts.
Yeah, so see, he's not playing in Dynamic Gold.
Yeah.
No. In fact, I had the same clubs for about 30 years. I had Palmer Axioms that had Dynamic Golds in them because I put them in it.
That goes back a way.
Yeah, I bought them in '87s, and I had them.
You're right up there with the Palmer Peerless.
Yeah, I got Palmer Butter.
I had a set of those.
Before I get to my question, have you met the ball coach? The old ball coach?
Well, he is in his 70s, and he is the old stubborn ball coach. One of my again patients is Sterling Sharp. So those of you that know NFL or USC, you will know who Sterling Sharp is. Sterling plays a lot of golf with Coach Spurrier. And I told Sterling last time he was in here, again, I said, you need to tell Steve to come see me. I can help the man. He loves golf.
Oh, yeah.
He will not play during football season, but he loves golf. And I've watched him, and he could use some help just with his clubs. Yeah. And Sterling said, I've talked to him. I ain't talking to him no more. The man won't listen. So if anybody got Steve's ear out there, tell him that I can help him with his game by getting him the proper equipment. And Sterling said, the man won't listen. I said, well, all you got to do is put it in the vernacular he'll understand. What do you mean? Well, ask him how good his quarterback would be if I put a set of shoulder pads that a tackle wears. He said, he won't listen. He won't listen. So if we put it in that vernacular, I would think Steve would say, hey, well, maybe there is something to that, because the quarterback couldn't throw a ball wearing a tackle shoulder pads.
No, no way.
So
Last
he's a really neat guy. He does a lot for charity here in the golf world using that, and he's been a real let's see, what's a good word? A good plus for South Carolina.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm still waiting for him to say something positive about the football team, but that may happen any day now.
Well, Doc, where did you get your club fitting training?
A lot of it was OJT, working with folks that have been in it for years. There's a couple old pros that they kind of did it, the trial and error method that got me started in it. A lot of reading, going to different schools throughout that club manufacturers do, and a lot of training with the actual OEMs. And when I say OEM, original equipment manufacturers,
right.
I did stuff for Wilson, Adams, and TaylorMade, and that's kind of what prompted me when I had the opportunity to branch off and go into it on my own, because I was seeing, we're doing a pretty big disservice to the golfing industry, just continually shoving things down their throat when it's not really factual. Just to give you one example, and boy, this will open a can of worms. Let's talk about adjustable hosel technology. All right, I'm going to tell you the benefit of adjustable hosel technology. There it was.
Wasn't somebody asking about that on the community the other day, Ricky?
I don't know, but my driver is adjustable, and my old driver, my Callaway, was adjustable, and I literally never adjusted it once. Like, I played it for an entire season and never adjusted it. I was like, well, I don't need to be able to know. Like, I know how to swing to hit the ball different ways. I don't need to have the club do it for me, I guess, is what I'm saying.
There will be people who will argue until the cows come home. I can see a difference. I can see a difference. I won't argue with you. I just give you numbers. I give you the test results. I know what I'm talking about. And one of the funniest things used to be when I was with TaylorMade, I was with them when the R7 came out and they had adjustable weights. You had a 12 gram in one side, 2 gram in the other. Now, if you change it and put one in one place, one in another, it literally does change where the center of gravity is. So it will measurably change ball flight because you've changed center of gravity. But visually, it didn't do squat. But I'd have guys say, hey, could you put this one here and that one there? Sure. And then it goes, wow, that's a lot better. And I'm standing there. What are you looking at? I mean, you literally could not see a difference. It takes 24 grams of weight, discretionary weight, put in one location or another to produce a visible change in ball flight. With the R15, you've got 24 grams of weight. However, if you've got a face and it's solid metal and it's got a loft to it, I can't take that 10.5 and now make it 12 or make it 9. All I can do is open the face or close the face, which changes effective loft. As soon as you set it on the ground, it goes right back to what it was. And I've also shown people this in the shop. I've taken it, and if you take it and close it, put it in my hand, let me shut my eyes, that fast I've got it right back to square just because it doesn't feel balanced when you've opened or closed the face. Tom Washon, I don't know if any of you know who Tom Washon is, but yes, he's like, to me, he's the Einstein of golf clubs. He's got over 450 first of designs and patents in the golf industry. And I talked to him one day and I said, Tom, it doesn't make any sense, this adjustable hosel technology. And the long story short of it was, he said, let me send you this 10-page report that I did where I took the RS11 or the R11, which has the adjustable sole plate, hosel, weights, everything, and he put them in every single setup that you could get. It's a 10-page report, and I don't mean big lines, they're little lines. the degree of difference between setups is decimal point 0 and then a number. So it has virtually very little effect. But on the defense or in the defense of the golfer, right here, if you think it works, it works.
That makes me
and that's the
think
important thing. That's the important thing. If you think it works, it works.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling you you're wrong. So I was fit for my, like I said, my last my first set of clubs I wasn't fit for. My most recent set I was, and and again, if I think it works, it works. But you're going to tell me that it obviously works. Do you think that everyone should be fit for every club that's in his or her bag?
In the perfect world, yes. Why would I want one that doesn't match the others? Do I think a rank beginner? People ask me, when should I get fit? I'm working on my swing. Should I get my swing right first, or do I get clubs first? Well, let's deal with that. If a rank beginner comes and he's trying to learn the game, and somebody who knows what they're doing is teaching him, and his clubs are too long, his clubs are too heavy, the clubs are too flat, how can he learn to execute a proper swing with the twos? They're to this, they're to that. It makes it difficult. It'd be like trying to teach grandma to bowl and give her a 16-pound bowling ball with finger holes cut for King Kong. You know, she'll go try it once or twice and say, screw this, I ain't doing it.
Right.
So
I want to
mean,
see that on a shirt, a swing juice.
So if you don't have the proper equipment, it really it doesn't facilitate learning. In fact, it works against you. And working on swings, again, if I'm trying to work on a swing and I've got clubs that are too long and I can't get here and drop and come in on the slot, and every time I do I stick the club in the ground, how frustrating is that going to be? Or if I've got a club that's too flat and every time I swing the toe grabs, digs, opens up the club face, and I keep hitting slices, and I think, my gosh, how stupid must I be that I can't get a ball to go that way? It gets frustrating. And it's not my fault, it's the club's fault. Now, let's talk about the Indian and the arrow. If I'm going to shoot a bow and arrow, do I want straight arrows or crooked arrows? Straight arrows.
Straight.
But just because you give me straight arrows doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and hit the target either. So there has to be some skill involved along with having the proper equipment. Just having the proper equipment isn't going to turn you into a tour player. And this is a true story. I had a guy that I met at a golf tournament. He was playing. I was there with the Swing Surge Golf Management Group. And he came up to me and wanted to know about getting fit. And so we talked. And a few weeks later, he called me and set up a time. Now, this guy, to say he had a golf swing would be really a misstatement. It was not a swing. It looked more like Paul Bunyan in the middle of winter trying to get firewood. It was terrible. But I fit him and got him the right set of clubs. 3 months later, he calls me. He's very, very unhappy with me. I said, what's the problem? He says, I'm not hitting the ball any better than I was. First question out of my mouth was, well, did you get anybody to teach you how to swing the golf club? No, why would I? You've always said better golf is just a fit away. I said, yeah, I guess that is my fault. But the inference is that the ability to play better golf is just a fit away. Once you've got proper equipment, it will allow you to learn and execute a proper swing. It ain't going to make it. If that were the case, you and I would have never met. I'd have a couple tour players under my belt and have retired already. But that's from that standpoint, that's why we started the thing now, that when we do a fitting and do clubs for somebody, we offer them free unlimited lessons. No restrictions. They can call, send video, whatever they want to do. We will work with them. We make that commitment. They take the time to come invest their time and money with us to get a fitting and to get clubs, then I'm going to give back to them, invest my time to make sure they know how to use it. Because what good is it if you've got the greatest straighted arrow in the world, but you have no concept how to put it in the bow and pull it and let it go? So we work with them, and I've had pros tell me, you are absolutely crazy for doing that. And I said, I would be absolutely crazy if I didn't do it, because these people are out there now representing me. They've got my equipment, and if they suck, why are somebody else going to want to come see me and suck just as bad? I suck, but I got great equipment. So we make that commitment.
So speaking of equipment, I see on your site that you actually have your own line of clubs. Can you talk a little bit about those and what goes into those?
Very little. We have the reason is there's first of all, there's not a whole lot to tell, and then secondly, we have a proprietary agreement that we don't disclose everything that goes in it. However, I will say this: they are made by a very reputable company. If I call the name, most people would know them because they are very big in the component industry. In fact, I would say a large part of the people that are listening probably already know who does my clubs. One of the biggest things about our clubs is that we have a specifically designed 360cc head driver that we are using, because we have said for a long, long time, bigger is not necessarily better. It's much easier to square a smaller head than a larger head, and a large amount of the people that we work with are getting to be my age, if you will. And
watch out now, watch out.
Hey, I can talk about my age now. So it's just easier for us. The slower our swing speed gets, or club head speed gets, the slower our hand action gets through the ball. It's just easier to square up a smaller head. Anytime you take the center of gravity and move it further from the axis of rotation, in this case, the hosel of a golf club, and you keep making the toe way on out here, it takes more energy and more time to get the toe to come around, because it's got to travel the same space, but it's got further distance to go. So it has to be traveling faster to come back in and square up. So that's one of the biggest thing that we did. And from there, we went into a few of our own hybrid heads, fairway heads, iron heads, and wedges. And the wedges are absolutely knockout wedges. They got heel toe camber. It is just a super wedge. And the company that does it for us, they're made in the same foundries where the big name clubs that you know of, Callaway's, TaylorMade's, and that sort of thing, we contract. They're made in that same process. The biggest difference is that from a quality control standpoint, what passes inspections on these clubs is a little more stringent than others, because I can't let stuff get out there that is out of whack, if you will, because then people are going to go, aha, I knew something was funny about these. So we have to be a little more stringent in what we will say is acceptable as far as tolerances.
Yeah, okay.
So you remember whenever I said that this half an hour would go fast? Guess what? It's been 29 minutes. So I'm going to let Les ask one more, and then we're going to jump into the back nine. And one thing that I am going to ask of you is that because we have so many good questions, and we've got some from greenskeeper.org that we weren't even able to get to, I'm going to send those to you via email, and you can answer a handful of those. I'll post those in the golf community so those people that have asked those questions could get that, because I literally feel like we could sit here and talk for 2 hours. But Les, go ahead and ask your last question.
One of the questions I had on your site was, what does your back to basics golf entail, and how often do you run this program?
Back to basics is just basically the fundamentals that we use in teaching. And if someone comes to me and they want help with their golf swing, the first thing is it's formulated off the principle of like building a house. Before you can put the second floor on, you got to have the first floor. Before you can do the first floor, you got to have the footings poured in the foundation. Before you can have the footings in the foundation, you even got to have a piece of land. So it's starting there. If somebody comes in to me and they want help with their swing or to stop slicing or so forth, I don't jump in right there. I have them go back, and we start from ground up. Grip, setup, backswing, downswing, follow through. And we make sure that they have an understanding of the fundamentals first before I start working on any problem. So back to basics simply means we go back to the fundamentals. I don't just assume that because you've ever picked up a club and played golf that you know what the basic fundamentals are. In fact, the longer people play, generally speaking, the more they get away from the fundamentals. And one of the basic tenets that we work with is setup determines the motion. And a lot of times, I'd say 90% of the time, a lot of stuff that I see is not really a swing issue, but a setup issue. I had two guys when I was in Reno, right after I came out to the oven. The next week I was in Reno. I had two guys that I'd worked with last year want to see me because they were having a problem with my clubs. Really. So they came to me. I had them hit a few balls, and I said, okay, what's the problem? And I already knew what it was. The ball's going right. This is the only club I'm having trouble with. And I said, okay, set up. And I showed them when they set up, they were aimed 30 yards right of where they thought they were. And I said, your ball's not going right. You're hitting it exactly where you're aimed. So I set them up, had them hit a few balls, and I said, now, what's wrong with your club? Nothing's wrong with my club. So, okay.
Well, you fixed my righties the other day. I was on the golf course, and I was tweeting about it because I was mad, and I ended up fixing it and shot even par. So.
Well, you know what? I didn't really notice until after I had already answered you that you had sent that with basically asking Dan. So I felt like, uh-oh, shoot. I didn't see that, but, you know, these are the three things I told you. Check this, check this, check this, because one of them, I'm sure, is what's causing you to go right.
And I've told you before, and I'll say it's never going to change probably. I have my feet point 20 yards right. My club, I mean, I hit the ball straight, but I feel like everything is in line except for my feet. And my divots point a little left, but when Hank Haney and I were talking about it, he's like, hey, where's the ball go? If it goes straight, I don't care where your feet go and where your divot aims. So if Hank thinks that's okay, and I've never had anybody tell me that it's different. So if the ball goes straight, that's all I care about.
Yeah. It wasn't that usually, if your feet go right, your divot goes left, you're swinging across yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. And again, if you've learned to adjust to it, hey, why fight it?
Yeah. Why fix it when it ain't broken? Okay, so sorry, Jason, no last questions from you because we're already over time. But I want to get to the back nine. So the back nine is just this fun, just 9 fun questions, and the first one, well, one, I know that one of these is going to be a good answer, and one of these, based on what we were talking about before we went live, I may cry when this is finished. But are you ready for your back nine?
Yes.
All right. So
is that one of the questions?
No. Nobody's ever asked that. That's good.
That's a good one, though.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you. You've got 8 more to go.
Well, sorry. My show, my rules. You answered.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Favorite memory of #TheOven15? It's so cool that you were here and came out for it, and you're coming back next year. What was your most memorable thing from #TheOven15?
Oh, gosh. There are so many. I think the most memorable thing I would have to say, the golf was great, the courses were great. The most memorable thing was the first night meeting people that I had never met. And, I mean, it was like, instead of being out here, it was like everybody just came together and met like we'd known each other for years.
Yeah,
and that was cool.
That was cool.
That was so cool.
Yeah, and just so you know, next year it's going to be the same location, and I'll have that entire top floor will be ours next year. So it'll be the same kind of mentality. I'm going to extend it maybe an hour so we have more time to do that, because I think the feedback that I received from the survey that I sent out was the people, yeah, the golf was great, yeah, whatever. Well, it was the time with the people that really mattered more than anything. So less golf next year, more time to hang out and eat and just hang out and be.
That was a hoot. But the second thing that is really memorable, and I'm not saying it's such a great thing, but the freaking bagpipes.
That went on for, they might still be playing. I'm not sure.
I'm still having nightmares.
I was like, okay, come out, play one song, maybe 2. Nope, you played a 45-minute concert, and I'm standing here trying to figure out how to talk to the person next to me.
I know.
All right, so what golf ball are you currently playing?
TaylorMade Project A.
That is a great golf. It's almost sticky. Like the cover on that ball is fantastic.
You want the history of that ball real quick?
Sure.
It's made by the same guy, or designed by the same guy that did the Titleist one, or the Titleist Pro V1X. He worked for Titleist. Now he works for TaylorMade. Titleist patented the color of the core. He worked for TaylorMade. It's the exact same ball, changed the color of the core, and they were able to get away with it.
That's pretty cool.
True story.
I didn't know that either. Hashtag the more you know. What is your favorite PGA Tour major?
Masters.
That seems to be a popular answer. Jason, I'm serious. One of these days we're going to go through and we're going to get to the back nine, and like 84 guests in the last 3 years have said the Masters and have that.
Speaking of the Masters, Jace has his drive, chip, and putt sub-regional tomorrow, so maybe I can get a trip.
Oh, that would be great.
Nice. Yeah. Make that happen. No pressure.
Yeah.
It's the only Masters that I can say that I've ever walked down a hill and slipped, went up in the air, and fell and busted my butt. That's never happened to me at any of the other majors.
Okay, well, therefore the Masters is your favorite.
It's number one.
Have you ever had an ace? I'm sure you have.
No.
No.
I'm
really?
still waiting.
Holy
that close.
Wow.
That close.
That is crazy. I kind of expect to be like, yeah, I've had 11. Wow. So when you play golf, do you listen to music at all?
No. Not except the first round of the Oven 15 when
yeah.
they had the music going, and I said to Cameron, do you usually listen to music when you play? He says, no, but we are today. So
That's awesome.
it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, good.
In fact, he had some good stuff on there. I'm an AC/DC fan, and he had some good AC/DC going at times. So, hey, it was fine.
What is your favorite golf course? I like that you have to think about
hurt
something.
Me there.
I like that.
There are so many good ones, but I would actually have to say that my all-time favorite would be Cog Hill.
It's a good one.
I don't know. Muirfield ranks right up there with it too.
All right. Tied for first.
Okay, we'll go. Well, they're so close to each other anyway, so
yeah.
Let's go Muirfield.
All right. It's not like you get a prize for picking the right answer.
I know. Muirfield. Muirfield.
Who is your favorite LPGA Tour player? And don't just say Michelle Wie because that's easy.
No, she's not even close. I think Paula Creamer would have to be my first.
Yeah, she's a good one. So, all right, you got to be nice. We talked about this a little bit before we started. You got to be nice when you answer this. And it's a two-part question. Will Tiger break Jack's record? And when you say no, why or why not? So why won't he? Because I know you're going to say no. Why won't he?
He doesn't have enough time left to do it. It's not a derogatory comment. He's got to break his record. He's got to win 5. To tie it, he's got to win 4. Until he goes and gets his swing actually fixed and not applying Band-Aids to it here and there, and goes back to a what I would call a more body-friendly swing at his age. Right now, he just doesn't have a chance to do it. I'm not saying he won't ever win another major because I think Jack was, 46 when he won his last one. So it's still there, but I don't think he's got 5 more in him. Besides that, I mean, look at the competition now, the new Big Three. Whew.
I don't like your answer, but I have to respect it and appreciate it. So whatever. We can still be friends.
I pulled for him for many, many years. I still pull for him anytime Jordan Spieth's not playing.
There you go. Good answer.
Jason, watch your mouth. Hey, and your final question of your Friday Foursome. First off, thank you so much for doing this. I'm serious. We're 15 minutes over, and I feel like we can keep going, so I appreciate you taking time out of your day to do this. But your final question of your Friday Foursome is, what's next for the Doc?
I just keep doing what I'm doing. I have found my spot. It's nice to get paid for doing what I do and not have to work. I just keep doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome.
I love what I do. Traveling, the traveling out to different places in the world and seeing folks, meeting new people. Coming out to the oven, I'm looking forward to it. That's what I've been counting down the days now. I've lost count.
48 more days.
But that's it. I'll just keep doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much, Jason. I know you got a big day tomorrow with Jason. His ability to, well, it's more your day because he has to get you to Augusta. Let's go back to doing what you're doing. Doc, have a good afternoon. Get the shop back
Thank
open.
you, sir.
Enjoy your weekend. And as Matt Rust always says, and I know that you're going to be able to help him do that unless, well, of course, the Indian in Matt Rust is not going to allow it. And as Swing Juice has said, all you got to do is make less bogeys.